From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Well, happy Friday to you all. Before we get to the forecast, just a quick reminder that there are other things outside of weather that we have here at Weather NorCal. Not a lot, but we've got the NorCal Ag Report, for example. It has a big impact on our community and is a big part of our community. Sponsored by Lassen County Nursery. All you have to do is go to weathernorcal.com, go to the Ag Report section, and you can watch all of the different episodes that are available. And of course, you can do that from the free Weather NorCal app as well. Look at this picture. I want to thank Rowdy Kelly from Humboldt. This is taken a picture from Humboldt Bay. Just a beautiful picture here. Of course, there's the bay itself here, and there is the sun just off there in the distance. Gotta love those pictures, and I want you to share those pictures with us. If you enjoyed that one and you want to share a picture that maybe you really take pride in, send it to Weather NorCal. And it's very easy. You do it from the free Weather NorCal app. You just go to the scroll at the very bottom of the app, and it will just kind of walk you step by step on how to share those pictures. And it's very easy. And I want you to send those pictures. Send them of your dog, your cat, your sunset, your sunrise, whatever, right? It's just something that is fun that I want to do each and every single morning. All right, let's take a look at your weather headlines. You've got that warming trend. It peaks today and tomorrow. The fire danger, unfortunately, will be increasing as the temperatures increase because the winds are going to be picking up as well. But it's not going to be as hot as we go into next week, but still hot. The good news is I do expect cooler temperatures as we get towards the end of next week. Here's your neighborhood forecast at a glance, and that heat wave I've been talking about, it is finally going to be here today. Yes, we got up to about 100 degrees for some of us in the valley yesterday, but today I think everyone is going to break that century mark. And then you'll notice here, even for Trinity County, seeing those hot temperatures. The coast, seeing some of the fog out there this morning. It's going to try to burn off here later on today. Let's take a look at the Shasta District Fair today. Today is Cattleman's Day. And there you can see those temperatures are going to be pretty hot towards the second half of the day. But as we get closer to sunset, those temperatures should start to drop, should make for a more pleasant day or pleasant evening here. So again, for today, there's that 107 for the District Fair, 106 on Saturday. And of course, the last day of the fair will be the coolest with a high of about 102 degrees. Take a look at the fire tracker. Now, this is looking at the latest heat signatures coming in from the Sites fire down in Colusa County. These yellows are indicating that they're a couple of days old. So really what we can take from this is that as long as you don't have any reds in there, we have no really recent activity coming in from the fire. So it's not very active. So as a result, firefighters are able to get a better handle on it. In fact, the satellite's not even detecting any hot spots here over the last 24 hours or so. So as a result, the smoke's not really a very big issue. I think many of us, especially as you get closer to the fire, could be dealing with some haze, maybe even a faint sniff of some smoke as well closest to the fire. But this is noon today. All of this is basically just some faint haze out there. You may notice a little bit of a haze out there going through the day today, but overall it's not going to be a big deal. And it's not going to really have a big impact on that overall air quality either. Now we look at the winds. Today, you look at the north winds here. They're coming in from the northwest for the north end of the valley. A little gusty too. A little gusty even down to the south as well, but not that bad. And of course those north winds for the coast. So the winds are picking up a little bit, especially the north end of the valley here for today. And tomorrow, just kind of an overall southerly flow of winds. I mean, we're not looking at a major wind event, but it is going to be elevated winds, which is going to elevate that fire danger as well. Now, you may hear, the terms of, it's coming in from the south, it's more of a marine influence. Yeah, a south wind typically can have more of a marine influence, but that depends on how deep that marine layer is and if it's going to have a big impact. So places to the south, yeah, maybe not as bad, but as you start heading to the north end of the valley, that south wind, you've got to have a really strong marine influence to have a really decent impact on us. So the next thing that we look at is that marine influence having an impact? You can see that at 6 o'clock this morning. See how humid it is down to the south? Right? And then it gets less and less humid heading northward. So let's take a look at this. Let's take it through the afternoon today. Look at those winds, again, coming in from the south. You've got it down to the single digits for the most part in the valley. And again, also very dry conditions in the mountains. We can't forget about the mountains and how dry it's getting there as well. So we take you into Saturday. And again, remember we were talking about those south winds? Look how dry it is. It's still dry. And yes, okay, so it's showing 17% in Redding. Keep in mind, that's still very dry. Okay, even when you get into the 20% range, that's still dry. So we have to remember that even if they do go up to around, upper teens and lower 20% range, that's still very dry. And we have to kind of remember that. But there you can, of course, see that we are seeing, of course, those dry conditions for the higher elevations as well. All right, let's take a look at the combination of everything because it's warming up out there, right? We're getting over 100 degrees here for the valley, and that's going to increase that fire danger as well. So when you combine the winds picking up a little bit, when you combine the fact that it's very dry out there, despite the fact that you've got those south winds, and it's hot, look at that fire danger, especially for the north end of the valley, but even getting into that high range, right? We take a look at this. When you start getting in those oranges, you're in the high range. You just want to stay out of the reds and those purples. And we haven't really seen that so far this season. Okay, then we see the recovery overnight. And then look at this. There's Saturday afternoon. South winds again. Okay, marine influence, not necessarily. Again, we're looking at very high fire danger as a result. Look at the kind of the deeper reds we're getting in there. So that's getting into the very high range that we're seeing. But another thing I want you to take note, look at over here. Yeah, we can't ignore the mountains now because the mountains are beginning to see drier and drier conditions. So as a result, we're beginning to see yellows and oranges. That's in the moderate to high range. So we're going to start seeing more and more of those oranges here in the weeks to come as we see these heat waves, as we see those winds pick up and dry things out. Now, you see these clouds right here? These are the clouds that went over us yesterday morning. Those have, of course, since then moved out. We've got a little weak disturbance kind of pushing through southern Oregon this morning, but it shouldn't have too much impact on our weather. All right, so let's take a look at the heat advisory that we do have in effect for Saturday. Now, some might be asking, when you look at the 7-day forecast, it's actually hotter today for some areas than tomorrow. And one of the reasons being is this morning, we still have some nice cooler air moving in. But tonight into tomorrow, so tonight, I think some of us in the valley may struggle to get out of the 70s. So one of the criteria for even excessive heat warnings and things like that is when we see those temperatures overnight stay fairly warm. And that may be the case. That's what it's looking like here as we go into tonight and to tomorrow. All right, so here's what's going on. We actually do have a general trough of low pressure in place, but the heat is kind of moving on in. And where's that heat coming from? Right over here. This heat is expanding over into, number one, the desert southwest, the Four Corners region. That's pretty typical. That's pretty normal. That's going to be where the big heat is. But it does extend into Northern California. But what's preventing that heat from continuing to kind of push to the north and west are these storm systems that continue to ride to our north over the weekend and even into next week. So that one moves out. This heat is persistent. It is just holding on strong over the desert southwest. But as this storm system here rides to our north, it prevents it from building in. So we're going to kind of keep those temperatures fairly steady for almost everyone as we go through the first half of next week. And then you can see that that cooler air is going to kind of ride off to the north of us by the end of next week, kind of push down a little bit more to the south, and as a result, that helps to push that heat back down. This is going to retreat again. So as a result, our temperatures are probably going to see a bigger drop, not a huge drop, but a bigger drop as we get in towards the end of next week. And you'll see that on the 7-day outlook. But yeah, we do have, looking at the temperature outlook, the extended range here, warmer than normal conditions, near normal, just to the north of us, and of course cooler than normal out towards northern Oregon and into Washington. So let's take a look at Futurecast. We're really not going to talk a whole lot about what's going on out here. Yes, we'll see some afternoon clouds for some of the higher elevations, but look at the coast. We're actually going to see that fog we're seeing this morning probably dissipate later on this afternoon. So we'll call it partly cloudy skies for the coast, but eventually we will see some clearing by the afternoon. Tomorrow morning, though, we're seeing that fog return, especially around Eureka, Humboldt Bay, for example. Not as bad, though, for Del Norte County. By the afternoon, that clears out again for Saturday. But look at this. We've got another batch of marine air coming on in, and that's going to bring in more fog, especially for your Saturday morning. But you'll notice here as we go through the late morning hours, that starts to dissipate again. So we may look at some clearing again for Sunday afternoon. Bottom line, kind of that off and on fog here along the coast, especially in the morning. And then some of those afternoons, we may see some of that clearing. Drier than normal conditions are what we're looking at here in the long range here when we look at the Climate Prediction Center. And the wave heights, well, they are actually increasing a little bit here for today. We take you into your Saturday, they'll start to decrease. So with those increased wave heights, we do have a small threat advisory through actually Saturday morning. Those winds from the northwest at about 15 to 20 knots. So your Trinity County neighborhood forecast, it's getting hotter out there. Even in Trinity County, we're in the 90s for most of us, right? Even over 100 degrees for Weaverville, 101 degrees there. Hayfork, 98, 99. You could touch 100 degrees in Hayfork. 66 degrees for Blue Lake, 90 out in Alder Point. There's the coast, keeping it basically in the low 60s over the next 7 days. 70 degrees for a high today in Klamath, 66 for Trinidad, Hoopa about 94 degrees, and Orleans 90. Let's take you out to Siskiyou County, and there you can see about 97 degrees for Hornbrook, 98 for Happy Camp. But you head out towards places like Mount Shasta, about 94, 88 for Doris and McDowell. Let's take a look at your Modoc County neighborhood forecast. Temperatures mainly around 90 degrees, give or take. The peak will be tomorrow, and then temperatures start to drop again. And look at that. By Wednesday, we're 89 down to 82 on Thursday. So again, I was talking about that bigger drop by the time we get towards the end of next week, and you can clearly see that for all of these 7-day outlooks here. But today, not a drop, in fact, an increase. Look for a high of 96 for Bernie, 92 Chester, 94 degrees in Paradise. Here's your Valley neighborhood forecast brought to you by NorCal Tractor. Now, again, a bit of that south wind. See, the winds are coming in from the south, but not very strong, number one. But number two, it is strong enough to kind of keep those temperatures down below 100 degrees for places like Durham, Biggs, Gridley, and Oroville, especially on that east side of the valley. But as you start heading northward, what you'll notice is those temperatures are getting warmer and warmer. So again, we're looking at 101 degrees for Whiskeytown, 104 for Lakehead, and Redding, a high of about 107 degrees. Whew, it's getting hot again. This is the third heat wave of the season. And again, a slight drop on Saturday, but really for all intents and purposes, today and tomorrow is the peak of the heat wave. After tomorrow, temperatures start to drop. You see how it's just kind of leveling off around 100 degrees through Wednesday? And then there's that bigger drop by the end of next week.
Cottonwood Small Animal Clinic is one of the only clinics in the area that can see your pet same day and for evening emergencies. We're always striving to improve the care that we give to your pets.
Here at Cottonwood Veterinary Clinic, we have 10 brilliant doctors here to provide your pet with amazing collaborative care. From not only your dog to your cat, but also your gecko, your horses, your goats, and your cows. Come on down and see us. Both clinics are located in the heart of Cottonwood.